Hi everyone, Wolf Ranch Homestead here. You know, we've shown you some tips in the past, some little homesteading tips, and while we do mainly stream our bird feeders from time to time, we do show you some homesteading things in the process. We're going to show you today a little tip that I have. I learned this as a kid for hauling brush when you've got to move some brush around. This right here, we're taking some out to the goats for them to eat. And where I learned this was being a kid. My grandmother had two different driveways and they were lined all the way down with crepe myrtles. We've got a vehicle going over there, apologies. And they would have to trim those crepe myrtles all the time, and it would leave big piles of brush, and we'd have to haul that off to the burn pile, and we would drag all of that behind the four-wheeler. Now, trying to move this by hand would be a pain because it's so bushed out and it's so bulky. So what we would do is we had a really thick piece of rope that we would tie around there and then hook behind the four-wheeler, and we would drag that brush off, and it was so easy to handle. We're going to show you two ways I learned to put that rope around the brush and haul it. Now, we don't have a four-wheeler, I'm just dragging everything by hand, but we're going to show you the two ways that I learned to tie this on there. So we've got a piece of rope. The first one we're going to start with right here is where we have a loose end. We're going to take this under the brush pile, back around, and we're going to tie basically like a slip. So bring it around and feed it through. Now this is going to cinch up tight. So what you'll do is you'll pull on that to get it really tight, and then you're ready to drag this by holding this other part in your hand. It's so lightweight that I just wrap it around my hand and pull it with me. Now we'll show you a different way. All you got to do with this is you can either just keep pulling it through to the other end, or you can just undo it right there. The other way, and this is the way I learned with the four-wheeler, we had our long piece of rope, and what we would do is we would take the two loose ends and tie them together like this, so they made another solid end in a big loop like this. And what we would do was we would take and feed that other end up under there and then pull this through it and tighten it up. This is the main one we would use. And now you've got this other end that also has a closed area, and this is what, imagine a longer piece of rope. Then we would hook this on the hitch of the four-wheeler and drag it with us. You have to adjust the length of your rope because you want this front end to be off the ground and not dragging the rope, because you will, if you drag it and you drag low, you could fray this rope and it can separate. So usually we had it tied just well enough where it would lift this off the ground and not drag the rope as we went. I've used this many times over the years for hauling stuff around, whether it be you know, some smaller boards that when we did have our four-wheeler years ago, when we would pull the boards behind there or pull small firewood logs, or hauling brush like this. This is how I haul my brush out there to the goats whenever I cut something for them. So again, this right here, this is a shorter piece if you do it like this. This is not how I carry it out there for them because I don't have a way to hook that loop on anything. If I was going to carry it by hand like that, then I would make it a longer piece. But for right now, I've got this and I stretch it out. And we'll get ready to take this back out there. So again, putting it underneath and then making that knot that will cinch up tight and get everything together. And then this is long enough where as I walk, it will drag behind me, lift it up like this again, like we talked about, so you're not fraying your rope out as you go. And many of you may know this already, dragging some brush. Some of you may not, so hopefully at least one person might learn something and benefit from it and find a little bit easier way to move some brush around. whether you're hauling something out for your own goats or you're clearing some brush around the yard and you want to move a little bit of it, but you're having a tough time, hopefully this will help you out. But we're going to take this out there. I'm going to take this. It's a very windy day, so I can't let them out in the woods right now because I'm really hesitant to with all these trees moving around. We've got some high winds today. So instead, we're going to cut them some stuff and take it to them, and that's why I've got this. But again, I'm going to take this. I've got it wrapped around. Some people might not choose to do this. You might want to have gloves if you do that because it will tighten up as you pull. But it's not a very heavy load. So again, if you are taking it just like this and you wrap it, make sure you have some gloves on and make sure it's not too heavy if you're pulling it. We hope that you enjoyed and maybe learned a little bit of something. And as always, we'll see you again during the next live stream or video, and take care until then.